Rule 13, Game Management. The Game Management Rule now incorporates the old Game Management Rules, the expected application of Game Management document, and the old protocols. The Game Management Rule has been restructured to try and make it easier to understand and to provide consistency. There was inconsistency in application of game management, so along with discussing the rule changes, we're going to expand on some of the soft skills an umpire can use to manage a match. Umpires must be conversant with the procedures of game management and their applications. An umpire must also act if foul play is observed, and the rules provide clear consequences for unfair play, dangerous play, and misconduct. Umpires are expected to rule accurately as with any other infringement. They should not avoid making difficult decisions regardless of the time elapsed in a match or what the resulting consequences may be. While umpires are expected to set and maintain clear standards and tone throughout a match, players are ultimately responsible for changing their behaviour. The varying techniques and strategies for game management can be illustrated in the ladder shown. Steps 2, 3 and 4 deal with the formal steps associated with cautions, warnings, suspensions and ordering off. These will be covered later, but for now we will focus on the soft skills an umpire has at their disposal. Step 1 of the game management ladder contains a number of soft skills and techniques an umpire can use to manage a game. If done successfully, there is often little requirement for an umpire to use formal game management steps. Knowledge of the rules and confidence in your decision making will ensure players buy into your judgments and remain compliant throughout the match. One of the most important tools an umpire has is their whistle. Varying the tone and volume of your whistle can often let a player know they are reaching the end of your tolerance for a particular action or behaviour. Varying the length of your whistle will immediately draw the attention of all participants to an action. A sharp and quick whistle will make you appear more decisive and confident in your decision making. Having a whistle with a P is invaluable. P-less whistles are harder to change the volume and tone, and even harder to roll for the beginning and end of play. A whistle with a P will cut through the noise of a crowd and will appear more sharp and crisp to players and spectators alike. When delivering any terminology, a voice that is calm, non-confrontational, but firm is key. Confidence in your decision making will serve to reinforce to players that you are making sound judgments. If your voice is quiet and indecisive, players can often lose confidence. If you do not believe what you are blowing, how will anybody else? A change in voice tone or volume can make players aware that you will not tolerate a particular action. Changing the tone of your voice or the order in which you deliver terminology or using pauses can make all the difference. For example, wing defence, contact, penalty pass. By saying the play in position first, i.e. reshuffling your terminology, you immediately get the attention of the player. Wait for them to turn and look at you before delivering the rest of your terminology. However, when umpires are in training, they should follow the correct terminology sequences. It should be noted that you will often hear umpires at international matches or on television not delivering their full terminology. Do not copy them. When you are working your way up through the awards, you will need to tick all of the boxes that assessors are looking for. Umpires also need to be aware of their body language. The use of a soft arm gesture with a hand out and a palm extended can communicate, "Stop that now, thank you," to a player. Sustained eye contact can hold a player's attention for longer, which will also reinforce your control and decisions. The use of a quiet word can help players to adapt quicker to your decision and adjust their play. This will be done in most instances without the need to hold time. Use short and clear phrases and be specific. For example, for a wing defence that keeps entering the circle, when players up the other end, say to the wing defence, stay out of the circle. For a player that is consistently too short in their distance for obstruction, say to them, please increase your distance. Likewise, for a player that's persistently breaking at a centre pass, before considering dealing with them with game management, why not try to tell them to stay onside at a centre pass? All of these measures can help you to support a player in trying to change their behaviour. You should try and avoid using phrases like tidy up or stop doing anything, as they could be misinterpreted by players and coaches as a caution.
The introduction to the game management rules states that game management is a player's responsibility, and they must respond to rulings made by the umpires and adjust their play accordingly. Similar requirements apply to team officials and bench players. Coaches should support their players to change their behaviour during the match and to pay heed to discipline rulings given by the umpires. Of particular note, a caution is also now binding on the co-umpire. When giving a caution, warning or suspension, the umpire states what action will follow if the behaviour does not change. Only one caution may be given for the same behaviour, i.e. a specific instance of foul play. If a player is given a caution for different instances of foul play, the umpire must consider escalating this to a warning. I'll now hand over to Gary to suggest some examples for a caution.
Umpires should be aware of which specific instances in game management carry an automatic caution. For delay in play, intentional and persistent infringing, intimidation and retaliation, the sanction is first a penalty pass and then the player is cautioned. An umpire may caution a player after giving previous advice or sanctions to indicate that they should change their behaviour. A player who continues to break at a centre pass, continues to enter an offside area, or who either holds on to the ball, refusing to give it to an opponent after being sanctioned, or who throws the ball away, could be cautioned. A player could also be cautioned who makes no effort to be 3 feet away from an opponent with the ball and intentionally limits their movement. A player may also be cautioned for dissent to the umpire or for behaviours contrary to good sportsmanship. This could include threatening behaviour to an opponent or mild swearing.
There have been other changes in the game management section as follows. Only one warning may be given to a player in a match. Only one suspension may be given to a player in a match. And ordering off, the umpire will order a player off following a suspension if the player continues to infringe the foul play rules. I'm now going to hand over to Gary to ask him to give examples of what behaviour may trigger warnings, suspensions and ordering off.
Warnings, suspensions and ordering off can be used to sanction behaviour that has continued despite a previous game management action. A warning or suspension does not necessarily have to follow a caution or a warning, and umpires must be confident that a player has understood what behaviour they are being asked to change. Warnings in isolation can be given for a number of reasons. Some of these include delaying play in the final seconds of a quarter or a match. It could be to do with a poorly timed intentional obstruction or contact, pushing a player that doesn't necessarily cause an injury, or for more serious uses of foul language. These could be either as an outburst or directed at the umpire or another player. The line between suspensions and ordering off is quite fine, and an umpire should be confident in their application of the rules. Suspensions may follow if a player uses more serious and offensive foul language. However, an umpire may deem it so serious that the player should be ordered off and that they should take no further part in the match. A suspension could be given if a player pushes, kicks or trips another player or causes the player in the air to fall. If this action resulted in serious injury or implications for the affected player, the umpire may consider ordering them off. Likewise, if the umpire thought a player had deliberately taken the landing space of an opponent and they fell and became injured, the umpire may order that player straight off. One thing is for certain, however. If an umpire or player was physically threatened, even if this meant without any physicality involved, an umpire may decide to order the player off immediately. In addition to game management sanctions, many leagues and competitions may issue further consequences to players that are suspended or ordered off.
Rule 13.2.2, dangerous play. This rule has been amended and the words deliberate or accidental have been removed. Dangerous play now reads as a player must not take any action, either reckless or dangerous, that could affect the safety of another player. Such actions may include, but are not limited to, punching, kicking, tripping, striking a player with any part of the body, causing a player in the air to fall by moving to the path of that player. The sanction is a penalty pass and the player is either warned, suspended, or in a serious case, ordered off. Now, some definitions of reckless and dangerous, just to help our thinking. Reckless is without thinking or caring about the consequences of an action. Dangerous is to have adverse consequences, able to or likely to cause physical injury, pain, harm, or loss. I'll now hand over to Gary to talk us through in more detail reckless and dangerous actions.
As with suspensions and ordering off, there is a fine line between what an umpire feels is a reckless or dangerous action. It is rare that an umpire would actually use the term reckless, as it is quite an emotive word and could differ from umpire to umpire. The importance here is the level of game management sanction that follows. A player may do something that ends up being dangerous for an opponent, but if their intent was in genuine pursuit for ball, the sanction may only be a warning, or if serious, a suspension. Reckless behaviour, however, comes when a player does not care about the consequences of their actions. A player knowingly taking the landing space of another, or striking a player with a fist, or deliberately with an elbow, would be seen as reckless. Reckless actions would ordinarily be dealt with by a suspension, or in serious cases, an order off. Umpires must judge every situation individually, whilst understanding the intent of the actions and behaviour of that player during the match, prior to the incident occurring, and directly after. A player going for an intercept they know they have no chance of making and that will likely cause injury to their opponent is a good match example of reckless behaviour.